From Tampa Stadium in Tampa, Florida, Sports Channel presents University of South Florida football. Tonight, South Florida takes on Georgia Southern. The South Florida Bulls have won 2 in a row. Their defense has not given up a touchdown since mid-October. But tonight, the big test. With me, the former head coach of Rutgers, former defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Doug Graber. And, Coach, this is the big one tonight for the South Florida Bulls. They take on one of the top teams in the country in Georgia Southern.
And certainly one of the top offenses in the country, averaging 34 points a game. It's a very unique offense called the spread offense. Paul Johnson, the head coach, is the guy that really started this whole offense 12 years ago. It really combines the best of the run and shoot and the best of the wishbone. It is really tough to stop. And this young guy, Greg Hill, is an outstanding young athlete who runs this offense really to perfection. He presents a lot of problems, Al.
Jim Leather, of course, is one of the top defensive coaches around, so his young defense, even though it's been playing very well, will have its hands full. Meanwhile, injuries have kind of forced the Bulls to pull in the reins on the offense a bit. They're not passing as much as they were, so they have gone to a running game, and it has been effective. But can they run tonight against this tough Georgia Southern defense?
Well, Jim Leavitt has done a great job with this young football team. The strength of the Georgia Southern team defensively is their front seven. They're going to be tough to run against, no question about that. But in these two young running backs, Jermaine Clemens and Raphael Williams, they're both having about 600-yard seasons up to this point. They're good players. They're going to earn their yardage tonight.
Well, the Bulls check in at 4-5. Georgia Southern, the Southern Conference champions, at 8-2. They are using this as a tune-up for the Division I AA playoffs. We'll have it for you coming up next. It'll be the Bulls taking on the Eagles. That's next, right here on Sports Channel. Game number 10 on the season for the South Florida Bulls. The Bulls are 3-2 here at Houlihan Stadium, but tonight they take on one of the top teams in the country in Georgia Southern. Their South Florida football coach, Jim Leavitt, known for his defense, and believe me, Doug Graber, his defense will have his hands full against Paul Johnson and that spread offense of Georgia Southern.
Well, they certainly will. And, a veteran defense has a hard time with the spread offense. They're playing almost all freshmen. I'll tell you what, this is going to be. But, they're athletic enough to hang in there with them. This should be a very, very interesting game.
The South Florida Bulls won the toss, but they have deferred to the second half. So they will give Paul Johnson's offense an opportunity to touch the football first. And getting ready to kick off for the South Florida Bulls will be Steve Riggs. Again, the Bulls coming in with a 2-game winning streak. Their only back-to-back victories so far this season. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern, 8-2, Southern Conference champions, and Doug Graber, one of the best kickoff return teams in the country.
Well, they're third in 1AA in kickoff returns, and they got some good players back there running it.
Kick is very high at the goal line. This is Javon Sullivan. Gets over the 20, brought down at the 25-yard line. On the tackle for the South Florida Bulls, Jay Mize, the freshman out of Eastlake High School. Georgia Southern, known for its quick starts, led by this man, Greg Hill, the former quarterback from Sarasota Riverview. He is an excellent runner. He has had his moments passing the football, and this is one of the best offenses, rated number 5 in the country as far as rushing the football is concerned. On first down from the 25. That is Roderick Russell. The tough running back, in fact, number 25 nationally. Brian Wilson on the tackle. Here's a look at this offense for Georgia Southern. Again, Hill and Russell are the two key components here. Corey Joyner, a slot back, very quick. And the offensive line for Georgia Southern. It's a big line. It is a veteran line. Ball on the ground, and Hill covers it. So the South Florida defense, Doug Graber, has not given up a touchdown in the last 2 games. Playing well here, setting up 3rd and long.
Well, that's a great start for this young defense.
The South Florida defense, again, this is a very young bunch. Demetrius Woods, one of the best players in the area. And the defensive backs, Brown, Davis, Mans, and Henry are especially tough. Third and very long. A loss on second down. The option. And this is why Hill is so dangerous. He has nothing but green grass in front of him. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Well, you know, this is typical of the Georgia Southern offense. You know, you're one mistake away from a big play. That was a mistake in the option responsibilities, and there they go. And, you know, this Georgia Southern team, 77-3 in the first quarter all year long. They are very, very tough, and that's one of the problems right there. And now you see what they call the muddle huddle. I used to call it Mother Goose. This is an audible, and now they're going to come in and kick it.
Eric Ming from Jupiter, Florida, will try the point after. So far this season, he is 21 of 25, and big plays have been the earmark of this Georgia Southern offense. The Eagles strike right away as the Eagles take a 7-0 lead at the South Florida Bulls. The Bulls have just been gunned down by a big play by Sarasota's Greg Hill. Quick strike offense. Doug Graber, a perfect example right here on 3rd and 13.
Well, it's just a simple triple option play into the short side of the field. There's a mistake right there on the quarterback. And this guy is a phenomenal athlete. He shows his speed and quickness and athleticism. And, you know, you make one mistake against an option team, and that's what you're looking at right there. And it didn't take Greg Hill very long to jump out at us, did it?
Oh, man, 77 yards on the touchdown. You play defensive back, and you make this play.
Yeah, see, but they cracked the safety, and they double-teamed the middle backer, and they didn't make the correct adjustments off of that. When you're playing defense against this offense, what they do determines what you do, and you have to adjust all the way down the line of scrimmage on your option responsibilities. That's a huge mistake, but I'll tell you what, that's an option offense. When you make a mistake, you're in danger of giving up a big play, and that was a huge one.
Get this. This is now 23 of 41 touchdown drives have been in 2 minutes or less. That touchdown was in like a minute 25. And again, they set up that on a 3rd and 13. Jim Leavitt has to be thinking, hey, this defense is doing a job here at 3rd and 13. And then Hill buries you.
And that's a running offense that scores that fast. They're not throwing the football.
Goodness. Eric Ming to kick off for Georgia Southern, leading 7-0. And back to receive. Charlie Jackson takes it at the 2. He has some room. He has some blocking if he can turn the corner. Knocked out of bounds just before he gets to the 30-yard line. Earthwind Moreland with the tackle.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. What a great name, huh?
I'll probably call him that sometime tonight.
Yeah, you bet.
So the South Florida Bulls check in. Again, they're coming off 2 victories. And for the first time tonight, the offense will run the show. Setting up at the 28-yard line, the quarterback, of course, Chad Barnhart. Barnhart coming off a fine week last week. 19 of 30, 271 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory over Cumberland.
Start right off with an empty set.
That's Clemens in motion. The quick pass to Clemens. He gets around the corner. He takes it over the 35-yard line down to the 37. Chad Nybert on the tackle for Georgia Southern. Here's a look at the offensive lineup for the South Florida Bulls. Again, Barnhart the quarterback. Jermaine Clemens starting at running back. Dell, Jackson, Hayes, and Hippolyte the tight end.
You know, and that first play, Al, that's a new play for them. That's what they call the Hal Mummy quick sweep. That's all it is, really. It's a sweep, but you throw the ball out to the back.
You saw the offensive line for the South Florida Bulls. It is a very young offensive line. Sets up second and very short. Clemens in the backfield. He's got some room, and he has a first down.
Well, this is huge right now for South Florida to answer the bell a little bit on that opening touchdown, and also to give their defense a rest.
The defensive lineup for Georgia Southern. This is a veteran defensive front, and you mentioned Doug Graber, especially up front. These guys are tough.
That's a terrific front seven, very athletic.
But they can also pass on this defense. The secondary does have some holes, but we'll see if the Bulls have the time to get the football in the air. First down from the 40. Draw play. Clemens, great blocking. Fights his way near the 50-yard line before he's pulled down.
Well, that's exactly what they want to do tonight. This front seven, and in particular the front four, is very, very athletic and very much up the field. And they want to try to trap them and run draws against that front four that gets upfield so much. Excellent north and south running by
James
Jermaine
Dickerson
Clemens
on the tackle for Georgia Southern. So the Bulls come out running the football with success.
Excellent start for the Bulls offense. Excellent.
Again, 2nd and 8 from the 48. Clemens in motion. Barnhart, quick pass. It's Hippolyte. Fights his way to the 45. Another first down for the Bulls. LeVar Rainey making a key tackle for Georgia Southern. Hippolyte could have gone a ways if he had gotten away from Rainey.
He's sure exactly right, Al, because they were straight man-to-man in a blitz. Good read by the quarterback. Had an unblocked guy right in his face. Got the hot read.
Here's a look at Chad Barnhart last week. 19 of 30, the 3 touchdown passes against Cumberland. Cumberland, an NAIA school, will be different tonight against Division I AA, a playoff team here in Georgia Southern. Again, the swing pass. That is Raphael Williams in the ballgame for the first time. He takes it over the 40. So, you know, I think the impressive thing right now, Doug Graber, for the South Florida offense is the fact they're getting good yardage on first down, and that's setting everything up from there.
Absolutely. You know, and Mike Canal is the offensive coordinator. They script their first 10 plays. They have not been in the same formation yet, have not been in the same personnel grouping, and they've got Georgia Southern on their heels a little bit right now.
2nd down and 4 from the 39. Bulls trail 7-0, flag down.
Well, that was a great job of Chad Barnhart. 1, audibling at the line of scrimmage, and 2, with a non-rhythmic cadence. That's the 2nd time they've jumped tonight. They couldn't get back that time. You know, Chad Barnhart has been a great leader for this team all year long, hitting 57% of his passes. He's really had an outstanding season.
So far, on the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
He may be over 2,000 yards for the season on these first couple of throws he's had tonight, Al.
Very impressive start for the transfer from South Carolina. You don't think South Carolina would like to have him back right now with the way that the Gamecocks are struggling offensively.
Absolutely.
From the 34, the Bulls are on the move. They trail 7-0 against Georgia Southern. Bishop in motion for the Bulls. The pitch, Williams gets a block from Dixon over the 30-yard line, down near another first down at the 26.
You know, all week at practice this week, this young Bulls team, they know they have their hands full tonight, but I'll tell you what, they're pumped up, and they had an outstanding week of practice. This will be a great barometer. Again, just a quick toss outside. Good north and south running right here by Raphael Williams. Gets a little push right there from the fullback. That can be called, but as a penalty, but that was accidental.
Georgia Southern so far this season has outscored its opponents 84-3 in the first quarter. Williams getting the first down at the 20. The tackle, Chad Nybert.
I cannot emphasize enough, the Bulls of South Florida are really taking advantage of the up-the-field rushing of Georgia Southern. They can rush the passer, and they really get up the field, but they're running a great many of plays to take advantage of that up-the-field ability by the front four.
And you're talking an offensive line here that is starting 3 freshmen for the South Florida Bulls.
This line will be outstanding in a year or so.
Barnhart changing the play. Here comes a blitz. Barnhart tries to hit Dell. The Bulls wanted an interference call there. Nothing is called.
Yeah, that throw was a little bit high. You can just see Chad pointing to himself. That was my bad. But, you know, he recognized from the pre-snap look, he recognized blitz look, checked to a 3-step drop, just a little bit antsy and didn't quite make the throw. Certainly had the right idea.
2nd down and 10 from the 21-yard line. The Bulls trail 7-0. Greg Hill from Sarasota on a 77-yard touchdown run on 3rd and 13. 1:25 in for Georgia Southern. And Chad Barnhart decides to call timeout. They had trouble getting the proper personnel and the proper play in, and the Bulls don't want to take any chances down here as they approach the red zone against Georgia Southern.
I'll guarantee you the happiest there you see Coach Hernandez talking to Chad. He's responsible. He signals in the plays.
We have 8:42 left to go in the first. The Bulls on the march against Georgia Southern. Southern owns a 7-0 lead over the South Florida Bulls, but the Bulls are on the move. 2nd down and 10 from the 21-yard line. Chad Barnhart has come out firing so far. He has hit 3 of 4. And right now they're on a drive. They've gone 52 yards so far in 8 plays.
The happiest person in the stadium right now is South Florida defensive coordinator Rick Kravitz. Keep that Georgia Southern offense on the bench over there. I don't want to see him again.
Again, they took all of a minute 25 to score on its opening possession, the 8th time in 11 opening drives that they have scored a touchdown. 2nd down and 10 from the 21. Bulls trail 7-0 midway through the opening period. In motion, that's Charlie Jackson. Barnhart under pressure. He's got Jackson at the 15. Jackson fights his way to the 10-yard line, and it appears he has another first down for the South Florida Bulls.
Great patience by Chad Barnhart right there. He had people coming in his face. It takes a while for that underneath pattern to develop. He waited, he sat in the pocket, and waited for Jackson to come underneath. You get a good picture of it right here. Good job moving his feet up in the pocket. Great throw with somebody in his face. Nice job by Jackson of making a guy miss and dancing it up the field. 1st and 10 Bulls.
Daryl Morrell on the tackle, and the Bulls have another first down there inside the 10. Jackson, so far this season, has been tough later on in the season. Williams near the 5. Al Carter, the tackle for Georgia Southern.
And that was now they're running out of what we call ace personnel. That means 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 back. And they run the read play, and the stingy defense here, you can see right now, they've shut out opponents in 24 of 40 quarters, 9 straight.
And again this season, they have yet to give up a touchdown in the opening quarter. And the Bulls are certainly on the move. On 2nd down, 2nd and goal to go from the 7. Dixon and Williams in the backfield for the South Florida Bulls. Williams gets hit immediately.
Well, that was a dead play right from the start. They ran the sprint draw into a full blitz to that side. They just happened to catch him in the right play. It was a dead play. Take your medicine, go on to the next play.
Chad Nybert, the tackle for Georgia Southern, sets up 3rd down and goal to go from the 7. The Bulls have done so well on this drive. You know they want to get that tying touchdown. They don't want to have to settle for a field goal here.
And I think, you know, psychologically this is important. This is the team that has not given up a touchdown all year in the opening quarter.
3rd down, goal to go from the 7. Williams in the backfield. Charlie Jackson in motion. Barnhart with time. Had 2 receivers in the area, Bishop and Jackson, and overthrows everybody. So the Bulls will have to settle for the field goal try as Steve Riggs trots on the field. Riggs so far this season, 12 of 18 on field goals. He has a long of 45, and he has been deadly from this distance. Has yet to miss his season from this distance.
Yeah, he's really been very, very accurate. He's the only senior on the football team, so this is a young team. This is the only guy they lose, but he's been a very good player for him this year.
It will be a 24-yard attempt. And it's right down Broadway. The South Florida Bulls have an answer to Georgia Southern on its opening drive of the contest. The Bulls were not able to get a touchdown, but the Bulls will take 3 from Steve Riggs, and the Bulls trail 7-3, 6:37 left to go in the first. Drives some 65 yards in 13 plays, and the Bulls have an answer, albeit a 3-point answer to Georgia Southern. Steve Riggs on the 24-yard field goal, and still, despite not getting the touchdown, that still has to be a big confidence boost for this offense against the number 8 team in the country. Doug?
Well, exactly. You know, and I see Jim Levitt pacing the sideline there, and I know exactly what he's going through. My last year at Rutgers, we played Navy. We beat them. Paul Johnson was the offensive coordinator at Navy at that time, and you're on that sideline, and I'll tell you what, you know, you're hanging on for dear life because you know you're one mistake away from a big play. And actually, Georgia Southern has better skilled people than Navy has.
Steve Riggs on the kickoff. It goes into the end zone. And Corey Joyner will just down it there. And the Eagles will take the football first down and 10 at the 20-yard line. Again, they lead by a score of 7-3.
Well, the reason that Georgia Southern is ranked number 8 in the country, and personally I think they're really a better football team than that, they're a complete team. They're very, very, very good on their special teams. Their defense is outstanding, and this offense is unbelievable.
Greg Hill, the last time he touched the football, rambled 77 yards for the touchdown on 3rd and 13. That was a knife to the heart for South Florida Bulls on the opening drive. Russell. Excuse me, that is the option, and the keeper there is Hill, and believe me, it is tough for us to guess who has the football up here. I can imagine what it's like down there on the field. Anthony Henry on the tackle for the South Florida Bulls.
Exactly. You're seeing what the problems are for this young defense. All they've run so far is just triple option. They haven't run. I mean, they run so many different option plays. It's unbelievable. They'll run a speed option, a counter speed, a midline.
It's a gain of 5, second down and 5 from the 25. Russell has very little running room. Russell came in the top ball carrier in the Southern Conference, averaging some 97 yards per game, coming off a big game last week.
They've done an outstanding job up to this point of shutting down Rod Russell, and really the fullback is the key. He's the one that really sets the tone for the whole offense.
Another third down play. The Bulls were burned on third down the last time around. Third down and 4. Straight up the middle, it's Russell. It appears he has the first down over the 30-yard line.
And you know, Al, with this offense, almost everything is at the line of scrimmage. It's a check with me, depending on the play. The quarterback is looking at the shades of the defensive lineman to make decisions. You can see right here, that's veer blocking, where they don't block the defensive end, and he can't quite get down fast enough to make the play, and there's the gain. And with that, all the veer blocking, the linebacker gets blocked by about 8 different people, depending on how they do it. It's really tough.
Bernard Brown on the tackle for the South Florida Bulls. First down for Georgia Southern. To the air for the first time. Hill. You've got to keep a man on him because he will take off and run, as we saw in the opening series. He gains 3 yards. He's up to the 35-yard line before Thurman Edwards pulls him down.
Well, in my opinion, that's what really makes this offense so tough. You've got all the wishbone plays that they can run by putting the slot back in quick motion, as you see them doing every play. Plus, you've got the run-and-shoot passing offense to defend.
As you say, the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Second down and 7 from the 35. Georgia Southern leads 7-3. 4:17 left to go in the first. A pitch.
Well, there it is again. Now you're dependent on the safeties to make one-on-one tackles out in the open field. And against some of these players, that's not always easy to do.
Benny Cunningham on the run for Georgia Southern, brought down by Anthony Henry. And it's a first down for Georgia Southern.
That's the counter option now. That's the first time we've seen that play tonight. That's just a straight counter option. That was an audible at the line of scrimmage.
And it's good for first down at the 44. Russell. Straight up the gut. Tackled by Vassay Mark at the South Florida Bulls.
That was the trap option. I mean, you know, you're getting so many different things run at you. For this young defense to sort all this out, believe me, this is very, very difficult.
And remember, this is a defense that starts 5 freshmen.
They're really going to an even front here on defense, which they haven't done all year.
Russell, nowhere to go. Excellent defense there by the South Florida Bulls. Sean Hay coming in to make the tackle for the Bulls.
Yeah, exactly. They pinched down their front four. They pinched everything inside. The quarterback did not make the right read. He should have pulled the ball, but that's the result right there. Good defense by South Florida.
Third down and 6. Third down has been deadly so far for the South Florida offense. Georgia Southern 2 of 2 on third down. One of those plays, a 77-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, Greg Hill. Hill to the air. His first pass, he's got Cunningham at the 40. Another first down on the tackle, Bernard Brown, with what may have been a touchdown-saving tackle for the South Florida Bulls.
Exactly, and that's the semi-sprint run and shoot. He's just going to set up over the front side tackle, 5-step and throw it. They ran a pick, and they were successful, and he's wide open in the flat.
Cunningham leaving. He made the catch just moments ago. Also had a big run a couple of plays before. Russell having trouble. Hit at the 40-yard line and pushed backwards.
Okay, that was the midline option. Now, that's the first time we've seen that one tonight. Here's the replay, and you can see this one goes much tighter, and they block out. What's happening here, this is great strategy by both teams. South Florida's pinching and trying to disrupt the course of the fullback, so now they run the midline option, which is tighter inside, and block the tackle out.
Georgia Southern, a 4-time Division I AA national champion, and this year's Southern Conference champion. Hill, so dangerous. Look at those quick feet. Brought down at the 35-yard line by Demetrius Woods.
And that's the first time now we've seen the sprint option tonight. They do it all, and they do it all very, very well.
And you really like the offensive mind of this Paul Johnson. Here's a guy that's a former Georgia Southern assistant coach, went on to Hawaii and built an incredible offense there, and then went on to Navy and made a winner at Navy.
He certainly did. He's outstanding.
Third down again, 3rd and 6. Georgia Southern 3 for 3 on third downs. The option, here's Hill, keeps it, brought down at the 30. Let's see where they mark it.
That's going to depend on the spot. That is very, very, very close.
Brian Wilson on the tackle for the South Florida Bulls, but I believe it is enough for the first down, but they will measure.
You know, Al, while we're doing this measurement, these are really two of the most outstanding young head coaches in the country, and Jim Levin and Paul Johnson. And both of these schools, I'm just going to tell you, in my opinion, both of these schools are going to have to work very, very hard over the next 3 to 4 years to keep these coaches in place, because they're both outstanding and they've got great futures.
And what's fascinating about this matchup, in Levitt you have the great defensive mind, in Johnson you've got the offensive guru, and it's very interesting to see this kind of give and take here, and they're short by a couple of inches.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is really an interesting game to watch. And the wheels are turning right now, I promise you. If they do this, we're going to do this, and vice versa on both sides of the ball. Tremendous, tremendous action here. And there's Paul Johnson right there. And, you know, they're taking a timeout here. They had 160 offensive records when he was at Hawaii. When he was at Navy, of course, his second year there, they went 8-3, went to a bowl game. This is his first year at Georgia Southern. He's got them into the playoffs. They're probably going to have home field advantage, and that's why this game is so important to them. They have to win this game to move up in the rankings and maybe have home field advantage all the way through the playoffs till the national championship game. And, of course, their record at home in the playoffs down through the years is 16-0. So they obviously have a huge home game advantage at Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. And what a town that is.
7-3, Jim Levitt's crew, his defense will try to stop Georgia Southern on 4th down. So far this season, this Bulls defense 5 of 9 in stopping 4th down on the season. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern has converted 8 of 19 on 4th down. That's 42%. 4th and inches from the 30. The keeper, it's Hill, and he makes it look easy.
Yeah, I think that was probably an audible. They did not cover the center. They did initially, then they, as you saw, they stepped out of it, trying to get them audible to the wrong play, but Greg Hill was just a little bit too smart for him. He waited, called the audible, and really had an easy first down here because the center wasn't covered. So you're really seeing the wheels turning on both sides of the ball, with the stemming on defense and the audibles on offense.
Hill again, a sophomore out of Sarasota Riverview, so this is something of a homecoming for him. From the 28, Hill to the air. Tries to hit Joyner. Coverage by Demetrius Woods.
You know what's really amazing is Greg Hill was not the starting quarterback up until about a month ago. Kenny Robinson, who was a 4-year starter, in his 4th year as a starter, was their quarterback. He broke his hand in October, and then in comes Greg Hill, and away they go.
And now they have a very interesting dilemma because Robinson will be back next week. Do you go with Robinson through the playoffs, or do you go with the guy that has so much talent like Hill?
I think they'll play them both.
From the 28, second down and 10. Russell going nowhere. Demetrius Woods leading a group of tacklers for the South Florida Bulls.
That was the midline option again because of all the pinching that South Florida's doing. This will be a good shot of it right here. You can see the double team. And the ball is coming straight over the offensive center. When they run the triple option, the fullback runs at the leg of the offensive guard, the outside leg of the offensive guard. And, of course, the key to recognizing that is that the offensive tackle play side will block out to stop the pinch.
Georgia Southern, 3 of 4 on third down, but they'll have to wait till the second period. That is the end of the opening period of action. Georgia Southern scoring on its opening drive. Greg Hill with a 77-yard touchdown run. Steve Riggs has answered with a 24-yard field goal. Georgia Southern leading after one by a score of 7-3. The Bulls ready to scream and shout here on third down and 7.
Let's go Bulls.
The Eagles 3 of 4 on third down. Hill able to hit his man inside the 10. On the catch, Ron Russell.
Boy, is he fun to watch or what? I mean, you know, he's one of those guys. It seems like he's in slow motion out there, but boy, is he a gifted athlete from Sarasota Riverview. This is the semi-sprint run and shoot package, and boy, when he gets on the loose out in space like this, then he really forces your coverage to come up, and that you know, his ability to scramble right there made that play.
Inside the 10. Russell finding very little running room. The Bulls have done a good job keeping him in check, but again, it's been Hill who is so dangerous that can do so many things. Here's a look at the first quarter stats. When you look at most of these yards for Georgia Southern, they all belong to Greg Hill.
Well, 75 of the 118 on the one play. You know, he's already got 95 yards rushing. Passing yards, you know, he's made a couple nice plays throwing the football.
And the Bulls, of course, have had their moments, too, moving the football, setting up the 24-yard field goal. From the 8. Russell inside the 5.
You know, this guy, Russell, is an outstanding running back. 3,100 career yards. All he needs is 60 yards tonight to become their second all-time leading rusher behind a guy by the name of Tracy Ham, who was a great one and is still a great one up in Canada as a quarterback, in fact. So, you know, but the fullback is really the key. He's got to be a north and south solid runner that the defense has to respect that sets up the other phases of the option.
From the 2, third down. Hill, will he keep it? Trying to cut inside, and he's brought down by the Bulls. Brett Avery forcing the action, making the tackle, and a loss on the play. And Georgia Southern may go for the field goal.
Outstanding discipline by Brent Avery right there. Excellent job of forcing Hill to pull up, which he doesn't want to do, forcing the field goal effort. And this Eric Ming, 13 out of 14 in field goals so far this year. Left footer.
At the 14, this will be a 24-yard attempt. They had trouble on the hold, but Ming puts it through, and the young man from Jupiter, Florida, has given Georgia Southern 3 points on the opening drive of the second period of action. 12:52 left to go in the first half. Georgia Southern keeps it rolling, now leading by a score of 10-3. On the 24-yard field goal by Eric Ming. And the Eagles back on top by 7 before a very young crowd here tonight at the stadium. Look at that, 8:45 on the scoring play. Even though all you get is a field goal, Paul Johnson has to be happy with the fact that USF has touched the football once, and here we are with 12:52 left to go in the second.
That's what the wishbone offense does to you. At Rutgers, of course, we had to play Army every year. I hated that week preparing for that offense. They had a 23-play drive against us one time. 99-yard, 23-play drive. Took the whole quarter. I mean, you better, when you get the football in possessions offensively, you better make it count because you're not getting it back for a while.
Make the kickoff. As the Bulls now trail 10-3. Charlie Jackson taking it 2 yards deep in the end zone. And he's got a lane. Pulled down at the 25-yard line. Excellent tackle by Daryl Morrill.
And he saved the big play right there because Charlie Jackson was about to get out the gate if he doesn't make that tackle. That's a great job by him.
So the Bulls touch the football for the second time in this contest. 12:41 left to go in the first half.
I'm absolutely intrigued by the Georgia Southern offense. This is the third time now that I've seen it firsthand, and it is really interesting. This offense is interesting, too.
From the 25, first and 10, Bulls trail 10-3. Jermaine Clemens, he has some room over the right side, over the 30-yard line, and again, just like on that opening drive, Doug Graber, the Bulls are getting good gains on first down.
Yeah, and that game was set up by an outstanding downfield block by Cliff Dell, the flanker. He really did an excellent job here, and that's really what made this play. Otis Dixon, great. There you see the knockdown right there by Dell. Good block by Otis Dixon. Good block by Hippolyte. There you go. Nice game.
2nd and 3. Bishop in motion. The fullback, Dixon, he powers his way over the 35. Good for a first down. Eric Davis, he tackled Georgia Southern.
You know, he's only had 3 yards rushing this year. I mean, he doesn't get paid to run the football, but that was a good job of advancing it right there.
He's only carried it 5 times.
5 times for 3 yards. He doubled his season output right there on that one play out.
Big first down as Otis Dixon leaves.
Good job,
again, he's got
Otis.
the 2 touchdowns.
There you go, Otis. Great job. We used to give the ball to the fullback about once every 3 games, just kind of toss him a bone, you know. He's an outstanding blocker, that young man.
First down on the 38-yard line. Clemens going nowhere.
Well, that's the first time tonight now in the rushing game that they've made a play for a minus play by, again, getting all the upfield penetration, which is a huge part of their defensive scheme. I mean, they are going to get up the field on you and try. Again, you see it right here. 94 getting upfield, backside tackle is the one that really makes the play. Good job by him.
Derek Reeves on the tackle for Georgia Southern. A loss of 3 on the play. At the 34, second down and long. Bulls trail 10-3. Barnhart looking inside for Bishop. Bishop wanted a flag. No call is made. The Bulls will have 3rd down and 10. Daryl Morrill again on the coverage for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, Bishop was trying to run the inside route, and Daryl Morrill just simply cut him off and did not allow him to get to the spot. You see, Chad Barnhart threw the ball where the receiver is supposed to be. He was cut off. Couldn't get there. Good defense.
The Bulls were able to drive some 65 yards for a field goal on their opening drive, and they started out driving very well on this possession, but they've come up to 3rd and 13 from the 35. Barnhart under pressure. Looked like he was able to get away momentarily, but closing in is Derek Reeves again. So 2 big plays by Reeves on this series.
Well, what they did, they jumped into a cover 2, a double zone, and they got good jams on both wide receivers, threw off the timing of the whole play. And this front 4 is not going to give you a whole lot of time to throw the football.
Tony Umholtz to punt, standing at his 16-yard line. Back to receive is Corey Joyner. He's standing at his 30. This will go out of bounds inside the 35-yard line. In fact, they'll mark it right at the 35. 10:02 remaining before halftime. Georgia Southern with long drives. Back had a very quick drive on its opening drive for a touchdown. Only 125 going 77 yards for a touchdown. Greg Hill. And then going on an 8-minute drive, setting up the field goal by Meng and the 10-3 lead. Sports Channel is bringing you more South Florida inaugural season football. Tune in Saturday at 7 o'clock when the Bulls take on Davidson. That'll be next week, right here on Sports Channel. Anthony Henry on the tackle for the Bulls.
Okay, Georgia Southern having a hard time establishing the fullback, right? So what do? They just come back and pop a trap. They haven't run a trap all night long. They're going to get that fullback going someplace. And, of course, you know, this is what this offense does to you. They just run the ball so well, control the clock, 124 yards already.
Rated number 5 nationally in the run. Russell getting the first down. Tackle from South Florida, Jason Butler.
Excellent job by Jason Butler. You know, this is a freshman linebacker. Now, Marshall Smith has been hurt. He's out. This young freshman, he just keeps getting better and better and better. And tonight, he is going to get it from all angles, Al. He's going to be blocked by the center, by guards, by tackles, by slot backs, by the quarterback, by the fullback. I mean, he's getting it from every angle you can imagine.
128 yards rushing so far for Georgia Southern. Flag down. Hill looking for Joyner, incomplete. Roy Manns on coverage for South Florida.
I think this is illegal procedure against Georgia Southern. Let's take a look. Yeah.
And a personal foul.
Double penalty. Wow. Well, you know, they'll decline the procedure, and I would assume they would take the personal foul. Let's see.
Have 2 fouls on the play. Illegal motion. That penalty's refused. Have a chop block on the offense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
And I think what Jim Leavitt would like to do is take that illegal motion, stick that in his pocket for the next time they come up with 3rd down and long.
Here's the penalty right here. When they tie up the defensive end on the line of scrimmage, well, you know, I don't see the illegal chop. It must have been inside on the defensive tackle because it wasn't outside. I thought it would have been.
First down and 25. From the 34. Built to the air all kinds of time. Picked up by the Bulls. Anthony Henry taking it to the 46-yard line, and the Bulls come up with the turnover.
Well, that's the young quarterback now. This is a guy who has not played a lot. He does not have the experience. He never saw the safety. He never saw the safety sitting there, and he threw the post right to him. Again, you see the 5-step sprint. He holds the football, does not see the safety there. And there's the post, and he threw it right to him. And of course, Henry certainly knows what to do with it. He didn't. Boy, he took a lick. He didn't see that coming.
Henry basically played center field out there and just waited for it to come right at him.
Exactly. The quarterback never saw him.
So the Bulls get the turnover. Can they answer? Down 10-3, 8:40 left to go before halftime. Swing pass, Jackson. Can he turn the corner? He does. He's got a first down.
That's the Hal Mumme sweep again, even though it's a pass. All it is a sweep play. And, of course, anytime a coach comes into a national program and starts doing some things different offensively, it doesn't take long for people around the country to get it. Coaches are the biggest copycats going. If something's working, they're going to find a way to put it in their offense, and that's exactly what that was.
James Dickerson on the tackle for Georgia Southern.
First time they've shown this play all year long.
From the 34, 1st and 10. It's Bishop in motion for the South Florida Bulls. Bulls trail 10-3. The fullback, Dixon, right down Broadway, over the 30.
This is great. I talked to Jermaine Clemens this week, and he told me about, how they grew up 5 houses apart. I'm talking about Dixon and Clemens. They grew up as kids. They played together. They competed each other. Dixon always said he should carry the ball more than Clemens. And you know what? He's doing pretty good with it tonight.
So far tonight has given the Bulls some big plays
sure
off the
has.
ground. Came in with only 5 carries on the season so far.
Another 6-yard gain.
2nd down and 4 from the 28. Williams, big hole at the 10. Inside the 5, near the goal line. Dickerson with the touchdown-saving tackle for Georgia Southern.
They caught him in a full blitz, popped it, and away he goes. Outstanding. I tell you, this is very, very impressive by South Florida against a great football team. Boy, what a block by Dixon again. 2 outstanding tailbacks. They can keep them fresh in and out of the game between Raphael Williams and Jermaine Clemens. Outstanding.
Georgia Southern came in a 27-point favorite. The Bulls would love to tie it right here. Hippolyte in motion. Oh, nailed at the 5-yard line. On the tackle for Georgia Southern, that is Chad Nyberts. Whew! I felt that from up here.
Full blitz. Missed assignment someplace, I would imagine by the front side, by the right guard, I would imagine, not sure. And this Nybert is an interesting story. He was all Europe. He's from Germany. Interesting how he ended up playing at Georgia Southern. The former head coach knew his coach in Europe, and that was the connection.
Can you imagine the culture shock going from Europe to Statesboro?
Especially to Statesboro. It's a neat town, though.
2nd down from the 5. Bulls trail 10-3. On the spread out, Barnhart had Corey Porter wide open.
Well, he sure did, and I'll tell you, Chad is going to be sick when he sees that on tape. He saw him at the last second and couldn't quite get his, he was on the run, couldn't get his feet set to make a good throw across his body. He had one there, though. Another huge, huge 3rd down for South Florida.
The Bulls coming in were 42 of 118, 35% on 3rd down. This may be one of their biggest 3rd downs of the season. From the 5, goal to go from there. Barnhart with time, looking for Dell, overshoots him.
Well, Dell got pressed by the corner by Earthwood Moreland. He got pressed, and they weren't on the same page. He did not convert the route the way that Chad thought he was going to convert it. But that's a great job by South Florida getting the ball down the field. That's a tragedy, though. They couldn't stick it in the end zone there from what they started on, the 2-yard line.
So the Bulls have had a pair of long drives on this Georgia Southern defense, and they've had to settle for field goal tries. Riggs from the 12. It'll be a 22-yard attempt with flags down.
Yeah, there was movement up front. Georgia Southern was stemming around on defense. And the young left tackle for USF jumped early. So we're going to have to kick it again. I'm very, very impressed.
Ball start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Georgia Southern has not been pressed like this by anybody in a long, long time. I mean, believe me, Georgia Southern is an outstanding football team that has a legitimate chance to win the national championship.
This will be a 27-yard attempt. Riggs 13 of 19 so far this season. And it's good. 6:13 left to go before halftime. The Bulls have had a couple of answers for Georgia Southern. They pulled to within 4. Jim Levitt's crew now trails number 8 Georgia Southern by a score of 10-6. Turn Anthony Henry's interception into a 7-play, 36-yard drive. It took him 2:27. Steve Riggs tops it off with the 27-yard field goal, his 2nd field goal this evening, and the Bulls have cut it to within 4 at 10-6. Again, 6:13 left to go here in the opening period of action. Doug Raber.
You know, and I talked with Paul Johnson last night, and he was really, really nervous about this game. He was really concerned with the athleticism of South Florida and all of his fears. It shows why he was a little bit afraid of this game. You know, this is supposed to be a 4-game series. Paul Johnson told me last night there's no way he wants to play this team 2 years from now. I think it's going to be a 2-game series.
I can imagine. Steve Riggs to kick off for the South Florida Bulls. Again, he has 2 field goals tonight. Bulls trail now by a score of 10-6.
This is an amazing effort by South Florida tonight. All these young kids, amazing.
Joyner takes it at the 5. He finds a small crease over the right side, brings it down near the 30-yard line before Edwin Green tackles him.
That was a spectacular job by Edwin Green. If he doesn't adjust and make that play, they're out the gate. They are out the gate. What a job by Edwin. And he had, 3 blockers in front of him. He played it off beautiful.
Greg Hill, so athletic, always seems to make something happen. You think about the 77-yard touchdown run in the first. Meanwhile, he also throws the interception. So he always makes something happen, sometimes not always good. How about Demetrius Woods? The big hit on Russell, but Russell gets it over the 35-yard line. Good gain on first down.
Yeah, that was a good start for him. Paul Johnson told me again last night that that's the one concern he had with Greg Hill, is that he did make some mistakes. And I think as they go into the playoffs, you'll see both of those quarterbacks play. The other quarterback is a little better thrower than Greg.
Second down in front from the 36. There's Russell. Powering his way through the secondary of the South Florida Bulls. Anthony Henry making what would have been a touchdown-saving tackle at the 45-yard line.
They're just going to keep pounding that fullback and keep pounding that fullback, and eventually there's going to be a mistake. Look at the big splits. That's really what sets 3- and 4-foot splits. Okay. There's the Veer scheme. They double down on the tackle, and he bounces off on the backer, and they can't make the play.
Good for a first down. The option play. Fumble. And the Bulls jump on it. That's Demetrius Woods. He had a touchdown last week against Cumberland and nearly breaks another one here.
Yeah, that's going to come back to the line of scrimmage because of the rules in college football. When the ball is pitched on an option behind the line of scrimmage, it can't be advanced. I'll be very, very honest with you. I don't like that rule at all. That rule favors option teams. Now, that was close anyway, but that's the correct ruling by the official. I mean, he made the ruling the way it's supposed to be done, but I don't like that rule in college football. I think you should be able to advance any fumble.
So the Bulls come up with their second turnover tonight. The first one resulted in a 27-yard field goal by Steve Riggs. The Bulls have the ball at the 45-yard line, 1st and 10. The draw play. Nobody home except Georgia Southern Eagles. Nybert, the tackle for Georgia Southern, and he's getting up very slowly.
Well, turnovers have certainly, really been a key to this game so far, and if they can keep getting them, Georgia Southern's given up 2 turnovers. Listen to this: Georgia Southern is 5th in the nation in their turnover margin. They're averaging on the plus side of 1.5 a game. So this is not like them.
Loss of 5 in the play from the 41. Bulls trail 10-6. Bulls with a pair of turnovers tonight against this Georgia Southern offense. Screen pass. This is Clemens. He's got some good speed. Very close to the first down, and he's got it. And the crowd loves the effort.
And they should. What an effort by Jermaine Clemens. I'll tell you what, he knew exactly where he had to get. He was not going to be denied. We're talking to him this week. Emma Smith is his kind of hero. And, boy, he ran just about like him right there.
Now, check out this burst of speed the minute he gets the football.
Again, good job offensively attacking that upfield, the middle screen. And look at the lean and the fight to get that first down.
So the Bulls are on the move again. The offense has played very well tonight. They've had some opportunities. They've yet to put it in the end zone. They've had to settle for a couple of field goals. The pitch. Clemens again. Not able to turn the corner. Coming up to make the play is Darryl Morrill. Once again, he's played a fine ball game tonight for Georgia Southern.
Al, this is amazing. I mean, Georgia Southern now has already won the Southern Conference. Southern Conference is the top 1AA conference in the country. I mean, they've already won it. They're going to the playoffs, and I promise you they will go deep into the playoffs. All these young kids from South Florida, they're playing their hearts out tonight. I'll tell you what, they really rising to the challenge of the competition.
Remember, the Bulls lost at the Citadel 10-7. This team beat the Citadel 49-7.
Exactly.
Bishop in motion. Play action. Barnhart's got a man wide open. Ahmad Hayes. Pulled out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Another first down for the Bulls. James Dickerson the tackle for Georgia Southern.
Plenty of time, 2:57 to go. They don't have to be in a big hurry here. They've been down here before. Now they've got to stick one in the end zone. They put strength into the sideline. Play action with slot into the sideline. Wide open is Ahmad Hayes in the flat. Excellent move. Good job advancing the ball. Stops the clock out of bounds. 2:57 here. Plenty of time.
Chad Barnhart, 5 of 10, 56 yards. From the 25, first and 10. The fullback again. Nearly broke that one, but he runs into Nybert and D.T. Tanner. But he kept the legs going. Still a good gain on first down.
Excellent gain on first down. Otis Dixon says, hey, Raphael, look at this. I can run this football, too. And these kids have been great friends. They grew up 5 doors apart. Both played at Clearwater High School. Outstanding relationship.
At the 28, second down. In motion, Bishop. Clemens tries to follow Dixon, gets it to the 20-yard line, maybe a little bit more. And it'll set up third down and 5. Moncelis Allen, the tackle for Georgia Southern.
Well, third down has been the key for South Florida offensively tonight. They're 0 for 3 on third down conversions. Now, here is a key one at the 20-yard line. Third, about 4.5.
Clemens, 25 yards already tonight. He's had some big runs, as has Raphael Williams.
There's an audible.
Flag down.
You know what? That was a great job by Georgia Southern. They lined up in a blitz look, and then at the last second, they went to a double zone. That's the reason for the delay here. These are 2 very well-coached football teams in all phases of the game. I'll tell you, these 2...
Ball snap. Ball start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
These 2 young head coaches, Jim Levitt right here, they are 2 of the outstanding young coaches in the country. I really mean it. They are intense, very intelligent, have good staffs, work well with the players, run disciplined programs. South Florida in 2 years is going to be an outstanding football team.
Nail-biting time from Jim Levitt at the 25, third and 10. 1:14 left to go in the first half. Charlie Jackson in motion. Here comes the blitz. Barnhart under pressure. Can he get away? Throws it out of bounds, trying to hit Hippolyte. And Barnhart was just happy to keep his feet.
Yeah, and you know what? Georgia Southern that time lined up in a cover 2 look. Pre-snap and then move late into. They're not going to let you audible like that all night long and catch them in blitzes or zones. Outstanding job by both teams. Paul Johnson, this is not what he had in mind at all for tonight, no, I promise you.
This will be a 42-yard attempt. Steve Riggs, 2 of 8 from this type of distance. And it's gone. 61 seconds left to go before halftime, and the Bulls are just chipping away at Georgia Southern. They turned that fumble recovery into a 3rd field goal for Steve Riggs, and the Bulls have pulled to within 1 at 10-9. Up with a pair of turnovers against Georgia Southern, and they have made the Eagles pay for it, albeit only by field goals. Steve Riggs, 3 field goals tonight for the South Florida Bulls, and the Bulls have pulled to within 1 point of number 8 Georgia Southern. Paul Johnson, known for his offensive prowess, taking on the defensive man in Jim Levitt, and both gentlemen have had their moments tonight. Doug Graber.
What a matchup this has been, and you know, emotions in college football. I'll tell you what, you know, you could just tell watching South Florida this week that they are really, really pumped up to see how they would match up against a great football team like Georgia Southern. And believe me, Georgia Southern is an outstanding football. Georgia Southern would beat most of the lower echelon Division I teams in the country, Al. They really would.
And it's a team that's known for its kickoff returns. This could be very dangerous with 61 seconds left to go before halftime. And the big tackle for the Bulls coming up to make the big play. Edwin Green, that's 2 straight kickoff returns where Green has made key tackles for the South Florida Bulls.
He's the contained man coming down on that side. They're directional kicking into that sideline. He's the contained guy. Excellent play by Edwin Green.
Greg Hill has either been red hot or a little bit cold tonight. He has a 77-yard touchdown run. He also has an interception that the Bulls turned into a field goal. Hill has quick feet, and he's nailed behind the line of scrimmage. Derriman Edwards, another big play for the South Florida Bulls. That's his second key tackle tonight, this time on the sack.
You can see their confidence growing as the game is going on, especially defensively. You know, Derriman Edwards, he wears number 63. What a kid he is. That's not an accident that he wears Leroy Selman's number. Boy, what an athlete. A true freshman from Lake Wales. True freshman playing out here. Hey, Georgia Southern doesn't have a true freshman playing here.
On the 15, second down and very long, with 17 seconds left to go in the first half. Russell, he ain't going anywhere either.
Outstanding job by Jason Butler. Outstanding with the middle backer staying home and making that play.
Brian Wilson also on the tackle as the gun goes off at the end of the first half.
This is amazing, Al. This is an amazing half of football for South Florida.
That is Demetrius Woods having a little bit of trouble making his way to the locker room. And the Bulls are hoping that he will be okay because he is a main man on their defense. And that South Florida defense certainly had its moments in the first half, taking on the number 5 rushing team in the country and holding Georgia Southern to only 1 long touchdown and a field goal. Where the South Florida Bulls trailed Georgia Southern by a score of 10-9. Georgia Southern came in favored by 27 points, rated number 8 in the country. Demetrius Woods, who was injured on the final play of the first half, appears to be all right, leading the captain's crew back out on the field, and the South Florida Bulls, especially the defense, has certainly played very well against an explosive offense in Georgia Southern. Let's take a look now at the stats, Doug.
An incredible performance by the South Florida team, and if you look at the total yards, 188 to Georgia Southern to 142 for USF. Hey, but they had a 75-yard play in there. You take that play away, these kids are playing out of their minds. I mean, they're laying it all on the field. This would really send some shockwaves through the 1AA playoffs if USF were able to somehow defeat the number 8 team in the country. And really, in my opinion, they're much better than number 8 in the country.
This would be like a team coming into Division I for the very first year, going out and taking on a top 10 team, taking on a Michigan, and trailing by only 1 at halftime against one of the better teams in the country. Jim Leavitt's team certainly opening the eyes around college football with this performance tonight. The South Florida Bulls are hoping that they will be holding up more of those signs. They're looking for touchdowns here in the second half, where the Bulls trail 10-9 heading into the third quarter of action. We called this a matchup of 2 of the top young head coaches in Division I AA football. Jim Leavitt, known for his defense on the left, Paul Johnson and his spread offense on the right. And we expected a battle of wits here. Here we go. The Bulls trail by 1 at 10-9.
Well, the South Florida staff, I'll tell you what, the midnight oil was burning this week. I mean, I know for a fact those guys were there till 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how many nights this week. I know they were back in the office at 7 in the morning. I mean, they've come up with a great game plan. They've done a terrific job of preparing this young football team to go up against Georgia. In my wildest dreams, I did not expect this game to be like this in the first half. I mean, you're looking at Georgia Southern Southern. This is a great football team here now. Paul Johnson, on the other hand, last night when I spoke to him, he was nervous about this game, and it shows why. They had bad weather up there this week, did not have a great week of preparation.
The Bulls will get the football here to start things off in the second half. At the 3. Great block on the left side, and he could go. Out of bounds at the 40-yard line. What a block early on by the Bulls on that return. A great block by Kevin White to bust things wide open. And the Bulls will have excellent field position. Down on the field is Basale Mack. He's out of Augusta, Georgia, and he was leveled by Kevin White on the return. And he is in pain.
Well, I sure hope he's not hurt seriously. But these guys are playing some ball. I mean, there's some banging going on out here tonight. Bam, right there. Earthwin Moreland again did it. He didn't make the tackle, but he did just enough to force him to the sideline and to let his pursuit get there.
Jermaine Clemens with the big return. The Bulls with the football to start things off here in the second half. You know, we talk about the 10 points for Georgia Southern. That is their lowest output in the first half this season. Again, we're talking a first-year program taking on a top 10 football team.
You know, and they play a lot of good folks. They play William and Mary, Chattanooga, VMI, Western Carolina, Citadel, Appalachian State, Furman. I mean, they play a tough schedule.
We'll be back with more of this early third quarter action right after this. Leaves with a leg injury, and the Bulls take it first and 10 from the 40. Raphael Williams with the good gain on first down. James Dickerson, we've been calling his number all night long on the tackle for Georgia Southern. There's Basale Mack leaving. They put an air cast around his right leg.
You know, they have x-ray machines right here at the stadium, and I'm sure they'll get a quick x-ray and know exactly where they stand.
From the 45, second down and 5. Williams, a lone running back. Bulls trail by a score of 10-9 very early in the second half. He's got Bishop at the 40-yard line. How about threading the needle right there between the zone coverage? Finds his man, good for the first down.
Well, you know what? Very, very well-coached football teams. That was really interesting right there. Georgia Southern showed a blitz look. Then they came out of it to cover 2, and USF made another audible and went to the fade against cover 2.
LeVar Rainey is down for Georgia Southern.
There is some serious banging going on in this game tonight. I mean, both teams are playing very, very hard. Paul Johnson last night, he was very, very concerned about this football game. He was concerned with the athleticism of South Florida. And as we look at the excellent job against the double zone, there's the seam right there between the corner and the safety. Excellent throw, excellent route.
We'll take another timeout. 13:56 left to go in the third quarter. The Bulls are on the march. They trail Georgia Southern by 1. Round of applause here from the crowd at Houlihan Stadium. He's being placed very gingerly on that stretcher. As you see, they have immobilized his neck. He took a shot to the head from D.T. Tanner, a teammate, late in the play. Watch here. And that is the injury we're dealing with right now. We will bring you his status as soon as it becomes available.
Of course, you know, with neck injuries, you absolutely take no chances at all. You mobilize them right away. You get them in for some x-rays. I mean, you just don't fool around with neck injuries. And it so often happens, unfortunately, on defense. A lot of times it's one of your own teammates. And I'm sure that he probably has a severe stinger. I hope nothing worse than that, where he's lost in the feelings in his fingers and hand. And you hate to see those kind of things.
The main thing, you were able to see him move his hands and his fingers as he left the field. Barnhart, 6 of 12 right now, 80 yards. Just hit a big pass play bootleg, lays it out there for a hit in the line, very close to another first down.
They caught
Ryan Haddon on the tackle.
They caught Georgia Southern in a full blitz, and that you would pray to catch him in a full strong side blitz when you run the counter pass, and that's exactly what they caught him in. And Chad did a good job of avoiding the pressure from the backside, and now we're looking at a 2nd and 2.
From the 22, the Bulls trail 10-9. Once again, Georgia Southern came in favored by 27, the number 18 in the country. Williams gets hit at the line of scrimmage and doesn't get much of anything. Marcellus Allen, the tackle for Georgia Southern.
Again, the penetration by that Georgia Southern front, especially those two tackles, Marcellus Allen and Derek Reeves. I mean, those are two guys that can flat get up the field on you, 282 and 250, and they're very, very quick and athletic, both of them.
So a crucial 3rd down play for the South Florida Bulls. They have had these throughout the evening. They've not been able to convert down here. Sure, they'd love to try to get some type of touchdown instead of having to settle for the field goal. Lines down, and did the Bulls pull them offside? Georgia Southern is acting like it is against the South Florida Bulls. If so, that'll be the 2nd time.
And it is against South Florida, and that's 0 for 4. Or 0 for on 3rd down.
For the snap. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Just a little slight flinch inside, and unfortunately the official saw it.
Instead of 3rd down and 3, you now have 3rd down and 8. That's a big difference at this end of the field.
They have to convert one of these 3rd downs. I mean, they very easily could be up in the game to 3 or 2 or they're leading the game.
The 28-yard line. 3rd down. Barnhart with all kinds of time. Had 2 receivers in the neighborhood, Charlie Jackson and Corey Porter. And he also had some room to run.
Oh, that's a tragedy. That's a busted route. I don't know which one of them made the mistake, but that's definitely a busted route. He had great protection, had all kinds of time, had him wide open.
And that looked like it was going right to Porter.
Oh, boy, that was a tragedy.
Riggs at the 35. This will be a 45-yard attempt. Already has 3 on the evening. This to give the South Florida Bulls the lead against the number 18 in the country. Riggs has missed it left. So a missed opportunity for the South Florida Bulls on their opening possession of the 2nd half. We have 12:23 left to go in the 3rd, and the Bulls still trail by 1 at 10-9. Southern will touch the football for the first time here in the 2nd half. That quarterback Greg Hill already has a 77-yard touchdown scamper very early in the ball game, and the Southern Conference champions are clean to a 10-9 lead. Let me ask you something here, Doug Raver. Georgia Southern just lost 2 players to injury here at a time when the Bulls appeared to be moving the football. Could that have taken momentum away from the South Florida Bull football team that came out fired up to start the 2nd half?
Well, it certainly could. I mean, both of them were long delays. We hope neither player is hurt real bad, but you just don't know at this point. But it also could have a little bit of a negative effect. Other than losing the players, it definitely can have a negative psychological effect with Georgia Southern as well. So, you know, you can look at it both ways.
Georgia Southern, of course, tuning up for the playoffs. This is their final game during the regular season. They don't want to lose a bunch of people before they go into the Division I AA playoffs. The option. Hill pulled out and fumbles the football. Another turnover for the South Florida Bulls, picking it up at the 5-yard line.
The officials calling it down at the spot.
The same type of fumble that we had earlier in the contest.
I want to take. Let's take a look at this one now. Yeah,
He was down.
he was down. That's an excellent call by the official. Excellent call.
Sean Hay picked it up and started rumbling down towards the goal line. Georgia Southern dodges the bullet at the 34. Russell takes it over the 35. Jason Butler, the tackle for the South Florida Bulls.
Yet another tackle for Jason Butler. This young guy is really starting to come into his own as a middle linebacker in this 4-3 system, and he's gotten better each and every week. Just he's a true freshman. This kid is really going to do something.
3rd down and 2. Georgia Southern 4 of 6 on 3rd down. Russell, the pitch on the other side. It goes to Corey Joyner, and he has a big game for a 1st down. I tell you what, they're like magicians out there.
Yeah, I was able to watch Navy practice this offense with Paul Johnson last year for 2 days. And it's a thing of beauty. And I'll tell you what, Anthony Henry saves a touchdown right here because he's out the gate if he doesn't make that tackle.
From the 48, Georgia Southern on the move. That's how it goes to Russell. They've done a good job of bottling up the #1 ball carrier for the Georgia Southern team. Joey Camaro with the tackle for the South Florida Bulls. Rod Russell came in averaging nearly 100 yards per game. In fact, leads the Southern Conference in rushing. But he's had very little running room tonight. In fact, he had 61 yards in the 1st half. Most of those on one big run.
Exactly.
At the 46, the pitch again. Jordan able to turn the corner. He's close to a 1st down.
Well, you're watching the spread offense being run to perfection on this drive right here. You've seen the trap option. You've seen that was the triple option right there where the quarterback, he's got to make a read on all 3 phases. He has to read whether to give it to the fullback or keep it himself. Then he has to make the next read as to whether he keeps it or pitches it to the trailing slot.
Bernard Brown with the tackle for the South Florida Bulls. From the 37, Georgia Southern leading by a score of 10-9. Coming back the other way, another pitch. Coming up to make the tackle for the South Florida Bulls. We have called his name throughout the evening. Edwin Green. Usually he's been on special teams, but he comes in and makes a big hit for the defense.
Well, he sure does. And Roy Mans was right there on the spot, too. And that's the whirly-bird or trap option part of this offense. And there's the pitch out. And that's a great job by Edwin Green and Roy Mans. Boy, I tell you what, you don't very often get a negative play.
Green out of Miami. He's a sophomore. 2nd and long. The running back, Roderick Russell, very little, gets to the 35, and nothing more. Theremin Edwards. He's played a fine game tonight in the South Florida Bulls.
True freshman that is an outstanding athlete for a big guy. Outstanding athlete. He's a 2-time All-Stater in high school. Won 10 letters at Lake Wales High School. What a nice young man. I had a good chance to visit with him last week. You know what? Every kid I've interviewed from South Florida, I've really been impressed with.
Georgia Southern 5 and 7 on 3rd down. It's a big one here. 3rd down and 9. Hill to the air. Hits his receiver, but the Bulls come up to make the tackle once again. Edwin Green, and this will force a 4th down. Shannon Shook on the catch for Georgia Southern, but he did not get to the sticks.
I would expect them to go for it here. One of the great things about the triple option offense is you've got one of the greatest 3rd and 4th down offenses in the history of football. And this is no surprise here. They routinely go for it on 4th down.
They have converted once on 4th down tonight. They'll go for it again at the 30. 4th and 2. Quarterback sneak. Hill. And he's very, very close. The Bulls are acting like they stopped him.
This is going to be a key measurement here. This is close. Really surprised at the play selection. They had 4th and a full 2.5, and went with a quarterback sneak. And again, they did that because the center was not covered.
And that was the 2nd time on 4th down that they had gone with the quarterback sneak, and the Bulls have held them.
What an effort. What an effort by South Florida. Folks, I'm telling you now, this is a great football team they're playing tonight. And these young kids, they're laying it all on the field.
Jim Leavitt's defense playing before some 30,470 fans. A big 4th down and 2, and the Bulls hold it.
That was the outside backer, I think, that stepped in to make the play. Couldn't quite see it from that angle.
First down for the Bulls at the 28. The Bulls have 3 field goals. It's cornered just over the 30-yard line before he's pulled back. And Georgia Southern getting downright frustrated right now.
Well, they sure are, and the emotions are running high with both teams on the field right now. They marketed give him his progress there on that play. That's the second time now that they put the slot into the short side of the field and run the same route, and they've run it successfully both times.
Ryan Haddon the tackle for Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern has lost a pair of defensive players here in the second half. LeVar Rainey to injury, the same with Basale Mack. Both were taken out on stretcher. Second down and 7 from the 31. Clemens in motion. Barnhart under pressure, barely able to get her away. Derek Reeves hitting Chad Barnhart.
Well, they ran an empty set, and Derek Reeves just simply beat the guard and was able to get the penetration, and Chad couldn't get out. Third down again. USF is 0 for 5 now. They've got to convert a third down here. After.
From the 31. Bulls trail by 1, 10-9, 7:33 left to go in the third. Barnhart with time. Pumps once, gets in trouble, gets away, tries to hit Dixon coming out of the backfield, and it's incomplete.
Well, Chad very, very upset with himself right there. Did a good job of avoiding the pressure. But just couldn't locate a receiver. Even if that would have been complete, that would have been short.
Tony Umholtz, the punt, his first punt of the second half. You see Corey Joyner with a big run just a few moments ago on offense for the Eagles. Short coverage. And the Bulls get a bounce to the 35-yard line. 7:13 left to go in the third. The Bulls are still giving the number 3, or make that the number 8 team in the country fits. The Bulls trail by 1 at 10-9. The third quarter, South Florida Bulls have 3 field goals from Steve Riggs. They've also forced some turnovers, but they've not been able to take advantage in order to put the ball in the end zone. Jim Leavitt with the nail biter here at the stadium against the number 8 team in the country in Georgia Southern.
Well, regardless of the outcome of this game, this is a terrific job of Jim Leavitt and his staff preparing this team, and you could see the growth of this football team during the season. I mean, imagine, this team, Georgia Southern beat the Citadel 49-7. The team that also beat South Florida.
Game number 10 in South Florida history. That's it. From the 35, first and 10. Bulls trail 10-9. Hill on the option keeps it. Very close to a first down at the 45. Edwin Green, the tackle for South Florida.
Now this is a different. Now watch what happens on this one right here. This time, watch the fullback, what he does after the fake. The fullback aborts it and comes out and blocks the guy who's assigned to the quarterback. I cannot emphasize enough that this is really a tough offense to face.
Second and less than a yard. They give it to Russell. He pounds his way over the 45-yard line. It's good for a first down.
All of Paul Johnson's worst fears, as I spoke to him last night, are being realized. This game, even if they don't win, if they win the game but not convincingly, this game could hurt them in the rankings, and that could hurt them further down the road in the playoffs.
At the 48. Russell again. Over the
Well, Russell, 214-pound senior, he's certainly been through the wars, and, he really pushes the pile right there. I mean, it was fairly well defense, and he just pushed the pile about 3 yards.
Demetrius Woods, Thurman Edwards, the tackles for the South Florida Bulls. There's Russell, again, one of the top ball carriers in the country, leading the Southern Conference. Had a big game against the Citadel, 221 yards, and leading the Eagles to victory. There he is again, and he's got nothing but the goal line in front of him. Can the Bulls catch him? Coming up to make the play, Bernard Brown, and he prevented a touchdown.
Well, just talking about Roderick Russell, you know, if you watch this young guy get in the stance and his weight is forward, and he's going to run north and south, and that time, excellent blocking up front. Look at his weight forward, makes the one move right there, and he's out the gate. And Anthony Henry can't make the play. Excellent effort chasing him down. But, you know, there's a reason that he's up to about 3,300 yards in his career. He's a good football player.
Well, he has 118 yards tonight. He's busted a pair of big plays. Down near the goal line again. Again, the only touchdown so far tonight, Greg Hill on the opening series scampered 77 yards for a touchdown.
We had one big stop here earlier in the game. You know what? Paul Johnson right there, I'll tell you exactly what happened. He said, look, fellas, we're going to start getting off football, and we're going to run that fullback, and we're going to block. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're opening up some big holes and getting a good push in the interior.
Second and goal from about the 2-inch line.
The left slot definitely jumped. That's a 5-yard penalty against Georgia Southern. They're shooting themselves in the foot again.
Let me ask you this here, Doug. Why go to an audible in a situation like this? You've got second and just inches to go.
Snap. Ball start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Well, you know why? Because coaches, you know, we're so tricky. You understand, coaches. We don't always do smart things. Well, it's simply a part of their offense, and they're going to do it all the time, and they practice it every single day, and they don't plan on the slot back jumping off sides. And you can see Paul Johnson on the sideline. He is not a happy camper right now, and he could kind of see this coming. He's getting after the offensive line, and, you know, he's looking at a disastrous end to the last game of the season for his football team if they somehow can't pull themselves together here.
The penalty will take it back to the 5-yard line, and it'll be second down. Actually, they'll call it the 6, and it'll be second and goal from the 6. Here's a look at the penalties tonight, and Georgia Southern has had 3, but it seems like all 3 have really hurt them tonight.
Well, they really have, and, you know, South Florida's all the freshmen. They're the ones that are supposed to be making all the mistakes. But that's held true through the season. Really, this football team, especially as they've progressed through the season, they have really cut out a lot of the mistakes. And really, amazingly, for as young as they are, not too many penalties.
A very emotional defense. The South Florida Bulls, very young, played very well so far tonight. Sports Channel is your home for the most exciting NFL pregame show, Florida style. Sunday morning NFL kicks off at 10 o'clock in the morning. Get the inside story on the Bucs, Dolphins, and Jaguars tomorrow, 10 a.m. exclusively on Sports Channel. The pitch, Joyner, touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Well, defensively, you know, you've got to force them to make plays and give Georgia Southern credit. They took away the fullback. They took away the quarterback. They tried to pressure him into a bad pitch. He would not be rattled. He made an excellent play. They take the lead.
Ming, who has a touchdown, or excuse me, a point after touchdown and a field goal to his credit, to try to add the second point after. In trouble on the hold, but it's still good. 17-9 with 4:37 left to go in the third. And the Bulls give up a touchdown run by Joyner on the pitch.
To come down, take away the fullback. Obviously, that's a mistake by either the corner or the safety. One of them was assigned to the pitch. You don't know exactly who made the mistake, but a mistake led to that score. You know what, Al, I've been to Statesboro, Georgia, and I'm going to tell you what it is really an interesting place. When I was a coordinator here for the Bucs, I went up to work out a defensive back, and Irk Russell, the legendary coach, was the coach down there, and they said, well, if you want to see Coach, you got to go to Snooki's. So Snooki's is a restaurant in downtown Statesboro, and I'm going to tell you what a place it is. You got the president of the bank, You got the farmers in their overalls. And Coach Johnson goes there for lunch every day, and he said he got some great advice. They said, Coach, get the lead and hold it. So Paul Johnson wrote that, he wrote that down. That's what they've done all year long. They've been getting the lead and holding it.
Now, they restarted their football program back in 1981 after a 40-year hiatus. Then they go on to win their first national title in 1985. An incredible program. I'm sure it's a model that the South Florida Bulls would love to follow.
4-time national champs from 1985 on. Amazing.
Made with a short kick. Taken down at the 22 by Brian Searcy. And the Bulls will take it from there.
That's what's called the lob kick. They do that on purpose. They just lob. It's just they lob it like a hand grenade. They lob it way up in the air, and somebody gets nervous. They made a fair catch signal. He really could have advanced the football, but he made the fair catch signal, and they start out at the 22-yard line.
Chad Barnhart leading the South Florida offense on the field. The Bulls have certainly had their moments. The defense has given the Bulls a couple of turnovers to play with. But the offense has only 3 field goals to show for it, now down 17-9. 4:31 left to go in the third. Williams nailed immediately. Brian Wilson, the tackle for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, big Brian Wilson, a 240-pound sophomore. They're starting to roll in. They got some depth going. But I'll tell you what, the story so far offensively has been South Florida's inability to convert on third down. And hey, this thing isn't over now. I'll tell you, just because they got the lead. Now South Florida needs a drive. They need to answer the bell.
Ross and 2 on the play. Second down and 12 from the 20. Barnhart. Can he beat the blitz? Fumble football. Georgia Southern picks it up, and they're calling it back. Brian Wilson picks up the fumble. Daryl Moore with the big hit.
They're calling that an incomplete pass, I believe.
The play has been ruled an incomplete forward pass. Third down.
Let's see if the Bulls dodge a bullet.
Full blitz coming. Fullback just picks up number 40. They did, but not a good angle to pick him up. But I think that's a good call. His arm is definitely going forward.
Well, the Bulls lost a fumble earlier in the second half.
Third down now.
That's Georgia Southern. Loses out on the chance. Any turnover. From the 20. Third down and long. And Hippolyte moved before the snap. Number 83 at the tight end.
Well, Georgia Southern now has the lead, and now they're trying to hold it. He learned at Snookies. That was a valuable bit of advice.
Before the snap, ball start, offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
Bulls are kind of shooting themselves in the foot so far in this series.
And for the most part, the Bulls offense had played fairly well until they got to the red zone in the first half.
They have played very, very well. They really have.
They had good gains on first and second down. Unfortunately, they hurt themselves on third, as you see 0 for 6.
And Georgia Southern 5 for 8. That's the difference in the game right now.
This third and 17. Barnhart looking deep. He had Hippolyte wide open. That would have been a first down, but they cannot connect. Daryl Moore on the coverage.
That time, Georgia Southern played what I call a too soft coverage. You can't quite see it right here, but they gave him excellent protection, and he did come free, and the ball was just slightly overthrown. And of course, Hippolyte really gives you problems because for a tight end, he runs so much.
On hold. Joyner standing at midfield. That's very high. Joyner calling it a fair catch at the 44-yard line. 3:28 left to go in the third.
Well, now they've got a short field, and with this offense, this is going to be a supreme test for the Bulls on defense.
I'm sure now Georgia Southern would love to go into its drive mode. Remember, early in the second, actually it was early in the first quarter, they went on an 8-minute drive to set up a field goal. To the head.
I'm sorry to say, but that's exactly what it looked like from here. And we certainly hope he's not hurt seriously. See the unbalanced, watch the fullback, abort out, take the guy who's assigned to the quarterback, but the difference there is he's able to fight off the block.
Joyner tried to get around Brown. And Brown takes a knee, it appears, or takes a helmet. Knee right to the helmet.
He sure did. His helmet hit right on. His head was not bent forward, so that's a great sign. I think he might have got dinged a little bit there for a couple seconds, but he looks pretty good coming off the field right here. That's a great sign.
He's played a fine game tonight.
He really has. He played an outstanding game.
A loss of 1 on the play. 2nd and 11. Russell gets it to the 41 before he's brought down by Jason Butler.
Pounding that fullback, and again, now that was the triple option. That was a read by the quarterback. He's reading if the tackle or whatever the stun is. If he feels like he can hand the ball to the fullback and he's got a track to run on, then he's going to give it to him. That's exactly what it really takes. Great precision to run this offense.
It's a game of 3, 3rd down and 7. Hill, pump fake, going deep. Line down.
Well, that's a smart play. They ran a hitch and go. And he was beat. He definitely put his hands on him and held him. It would have been a touchdown had he not done it.
They were looking for Titus Johnson. Glenn Davis appeared to have made the penalty.
Holding by the defense. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Smart play by the corner out because, that's a touchdown if he doesn't hold it. You just have to do that.
The Bulls trail by a score of 17-9. 2:24 left to go in the 3rd. From the 31. First and 10. Russell over the 20-yard line. Mans and Henry combining on the tackle.
This offense really intrigues me. I have to be honest with you. If I were to ever take the job again in college, which I won't, I would really seriously think about running this offense. I think it's just terrific.
By the way, Anthony Henry, the injured South Florida Bull, and believe me, Jim Levin does not want to lose this young man.
No, he sure doesn't. He's really the glue back in the secondary. He's outstanding redshirt freshman, great athlete. And of course, when you play an offense like this, your safeties and your defensive backs have to make a lot of plays. And if they lose their discipline at all, it's going to be a big play. So it really puts tremendous pressure on the safeties in particular.
Anthony Henry came in leading the Bulls with 65 tackles on the season and already had an interception tonight.
Now, this young guy will be, I think, a pro prospect as he develops. Let's take a look. We're going to take a look at the replay here and see if we can see exactly. See number 12 right there, and he gets twisted right there. That could be a rib injury. It's hard to say exactly what that is, but you can really see him get twisted right there as he's going down, right there. That's where he was injured. And he's had a bad hip. He's kind of had a dinged up hip. He might have re-injured that as well. Outstanding athlete in high school, 6'6" high jumper. He was the Lee County Athlete of the Year, district MVP, track and basketball. So this guy is an all-around great athlete. He will develop into a spectacular safety as time goes on. I'm an old NFL secondary coach, and you recognize talent.
You should know.
This guy's got it. And a nice kid, and a bright kid from Fort Myers Estero High School.
You know, you talk about the defensive backs that you had in the NFL. Talk about the defensive backs you had in Kansas City. You had quite a crew.
Well, that's one of the... I was just fortunate to coach those guys. You know, that was one of the great secondaries that's ever played. All of them were all pros. Deron Cherry, Lloyd Burris, Kevin Ross, Albert Lewis. The two of them are still playing. But what a competitive, smart group of young men they were.
And they could pick out some passes.
120 in 4 years.
My goodness, that's 30 a year. Hill going deep to the end zone. Too deep. Edwin Green on the coverage as he tried to hit Shannon Shook.
Very, classic play by the corner right there. He's running with his back to the ball. He knows he's at the end of the end zone. Gets his head back, turned to the football, so you're not going to get interference. Very, very well played. Young guy out of Miami Southbridge High School.
Ball at the 18. Second down and 10. Lewis trails 17-9. 2:01. Left to go in the third. The pitch the other way. Flag down.
We got
Tobias Deverson, the ball carrier for Georgia Southern.
And Anthony Henry's backup, Jay Mize, really did an outstanding job. That's what I call the whirly-bird option. Starts one way, comes back the other way. But Jay Mize, a young guy who really hasn't been good on special teams, he made an outstanding play there to force that ball to the outside.
Illegal block on the offense. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
Here's the whirly-bird option. Here comes the block right there in the back. No question about it. Edwin Green was definitely blocked in the back. Jay Mize was right there to make the play. The South Florida defense has played some spectacular football tonight.
That's the fourth penalty on Georgia Southern. Diedrich Carl with the penalty. Hill tries to lay it out there for Joyner, and they cannot connect.
That was not a good matchup. You would not want to have that matchup. Brian Wilson, the linebacker, had to run with Corey Joyner, that slot back, and I'll tell you what, that scares you to death from a coaching standpoint.
I saw you kind of waving your arms and closing your eyes there on that play.
Hey, Brian Wilson hung in there real good with him. He really did. And he was chasing him and forced the ball to be overthrown. Good job by Brian Wilson.
Now remember, Georgia Southern came in one of the top scoring teams in Division I AA, averaging some 34 points per game. And the Bulls have really held them down. Third down and 20 from the 28-yard line. Hill trying to set up the screen. In trouble. Throws it away. The defense for South Florida, Brett Avery chasing Greg Hill, and the Bulls force fourth down.
Well, Jim Levitt is really into this football game. He's a coach that does not show a lot of emotion on the sideline, and you have to keep control of yourself. But I'm going to tell you what, he's doing some jumping around on that sideline. He's got to be thrilled with the way this young defense is playing tonight. I mean, this is a great football team and a great offensive plan.
At the 34, a 44-yard attempt, Eric May already has one field goal tonight. And it's short. The crowd is some 30,000, giving its approval to the South Florida defense, and the Bulls hanging tough against the number 8 team in the country. 1:35 left to go in the third. You know, Doug Graber, there's still plenty of time left to go in this contest. Anything can happen. A turnover, a big play, and all of a sudden the momentum shift could really swing to the South Florida Bulls.
Absolutely, and now offensively, they've got to control the ball here and get their defense rested.
They would love to beat Georgia Southern in its own game. Chad Barnhart changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 8 seconds on the play clock. Here comes a blitz. Barnhart plays
Well, excellent job. First, of Chad Barnhart recognizing the blitz. Second, they picked it up. The audible was right there. They had maximum protection, kept both backs in. They've just got to make a play. That wasn't a badly thrown ball. Well defense, but you got to make plays in a football game.
Second down 10. The pitch, Clemens. He finds a seam. Brought down at the 35-yard line, but there's a flag.
That's a late flag. That could be a hold. It looks like it's definitely an offensive penalty.
It is a holding penalty on the South Florida Bulls, and this one really hurts. That would have set up a 3rd and 2.
That goes from the spot of the foul, so really it's a very severe penalty in college football. No question about that.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, still second out.
Well, you know, that's the one danger running the toss is you do get a lot of holding calls. I think they called it on the wide receiver, Ahmad Hayes. I don't know. I can't tell for sure, but you certainly couldn't see any holding from that angle. But you know, you couldn't see, whether he had his hands in there or not. Boy, they're in the hole now.
Second down and 20 from the 17. Again, the Bulls trail 17-9. And 21 left to go in the 3rd. Quick Dell in motion. Quick pass. Jackson. Very little.
Yeah, that's the Hal Bumpy sweep again. And they haven't run it yet in the second half, and they really got some excellent positive yardage out of that play in the first half. Kind of looks like Georgia Southern was ready for it that time, looks like.
Daryl Morrow coming up to make the tackle.
Very well played.
Gain of 1 on the play.
The secondary supported so fast. You know what they need now is a halfback pass off that thing, huh? Get that ball down the field.
Thinking like a coach here.
Because, boy, the secondary was flying on support.
Once again, USF deadly on 3rd down. 0 for 7 tonight. Barnhart with time. He's got Bishop at the 40. Can he keep it for a first down?
They've spotted it at the first down. That was dangerous. He had the first down, and then he gave up some yards. But he got a good spot on it.
How about the pass by Chad Barnhart? Look at this.
Well, excellent protection. This is the too soft coverage again, and that's right where you have to hit it, right in the middle of the field. Excellent recognition on the South Florida offense. Excellent protection. Finally, we got a 3rd down conversion.
That's the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. Just before the gun. Again, it's Bishop, and the flag is down. Personal foul against Georgia Southern.
Late hit on the quarterback. Big play, good positive yardage, and now tack it on top of that. What a 4th quarter this is going to be.
The Bulls trail 17-9 against the number 8 team in the country. Chad Barnhart just hit a big play for some 20 yards and a first down. He hits another pass to Bishop, and now they'll add a penalty on top of this. They'll take it to the 40-yard line of Georgia Southern.
Personal foul
When we begin
on the defense. Roughing the passer, 15 yards from the end of the run. 1 untimed down.
When we begin the 4th quarter, the Bulls will have excellent field position. They trail by 8, 17-9 to the number 8 team in the country. With one more play before they wrap up the 3rd quarter after the penalty. Near the 30-yard line and near another first down. Ryan Hatton with the tackle for Georgia Southern, and that will officially end the third quarter of action, and the Bulls will have even better field position as they begin the fourth quarter.
No, this sets up what can be, the fourth quarter that really is going to mean something to this program down the road. And, this has been an amazing effort here by the South Florida Bulls tonight. But now, hey, you go into the game in the fourth quarter now. You said it earlier, you're exactly right. All they need now is a big play on one side of the ball, kicking game, something. They need a big play, and I'll tell you what, then this is really going to get wild in this place tonight.
And so far, that big play was the third down pass from Chad Barnhart to Darren Bishop. He got the first down. It was about a 20-yard gain. That took them out of the hole, and I think that kind of gave this offense a wake-up call. They've been waiting for something to kind of jumpstart them. They've got it going right now at the 31-yard line, 1st and 10.
Well, they had been 0 for 7 on third down conversions going into that play, and that is very, very discouraging to your offense when you can't make a play in those situations. And really, I think what I would do if I was South Florida is I would get some 3 wide receiver offense on the field on third down and try to spread them a little bit across the field against that secondary. They've been playing a lot of what I call too soft against them, and that coverage has hurt them up to this point tonight. And it is a tough coverage, but they solved it when they hit that one play to Dell over the middle. That's exactly what you have to do. Good job of adjusting by the South Florida offensive staff.
Now they're saying that Raphael Williams actually came up short of the 30-yard line, and they'll mark it now at the 31. So it will be 2nd down and 1 as we get ready to start the final quarter of action.
5 plays, 42 yards. And, this is really a key thing because they're keeping their defense off the field and they're keeping the Georgia Southern offense off the field. That's really the key. And if they can just get a score here on this drive, then I'll tell you, this is going to be wild. I think the Georgia Southern team's in really a little bit of shock. This is not at all what they, I think, and as a coach, you can talk and show tapes all you want. But, when you're Georgia Southern and you're playing a new football program that's got a bunch of freshmen, sometimes it's hard to get your point across. Hey, these guys are pretty darn athletic. They play hard. They play with a lot of intensity.
Now, they won the Southern Conference title last Saturday, 30-13 over Furman. This, their final regular season game. They're using it as a tune-up for the Division I AA playoffs. 2nd down and 1. They get the first down. Over the 30-yard line goes Williams. James Dickerson on the tackle for Georgia Southern. Here's a look at the third quarter stats. The Bulls trailing in the rushing race, but they're, for the most part, hanging right in there. I think the key in this game has been the 2 turnovers for Georgia Southern. Look at the time of possession. Fairly even.
Very even. And, of course, as an option team, that's not supposed to be that way.
They mark it at the 27, 1st and 10. Georgia Southern faking blitz. Dixon, the fullback, at the 20. Down near the 15-yard line, and another first down for the South Florida Bulls. James Dickerson again, and how about the fullback? Dixon coming up with the 3rd key carry tonight.
At halftime, his average per carry was over 6 yards. And, his running mate, Jermaine, was averaging 3. He's going to hear about that, I promise you. And there's another big play now for Otis Dixon. And I'll tell you what, he's been such a great blocker all year. And now he's showing that he can do some things with the football as well.
At the 17, 1st and 10. Bulls trail 17-9. Just underway in the fourth quarter. Williams on the pitch. Cuts it back. Gets a good gain near the 12-yard line. D.T. Tanner, the tackle for Georgia Southern.
Raphael made a little bit of a mistake there. He needed to stretch that just a little further because he really had a crack outside of Otis Dixon's block, but he just didn't. He lost his patience. You really got to have patience as a tailback on the sweep, and he lost his patience just a little bit because that crack opened up, and he really could have gone some.
They say it went down at the 14-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play. 2nd down and 7. That's Williams, a lone running back in motion. Quick pass. He's at the 10. James Dickerson again made a touchdown-saving tackle at the 6-yard line.
That was the Hal Mumme sweep again. They run very well that time.
That's basically a long handoff, it looks like.
That's all it is. It's just a sweep, and they just happen to, rather than toss the ball back, they just kind of throw it out there. But that's all it is. It's a toss sweep. Quarterback likes it because it goes down his passing yardage, you know.
Out the 6. First and goal to go from the 6. Can the Bulls find the end zone? They've had 3 field goals tonight. The fullback again. Dixon fights his way over the 5. To the 3-yard line. D.T. Tanner won't let him get anywhere near that end zone.
He's going to want to move the tailback next week. You know, they may have created a monster here, but he's really running tough on north and south inside, isn't he? Now they've got to get it in the end zone here. 3-yard line.
Actually, he's playing a little bit like Mike Allstott tonight.
He is. He really is. He's blocking. I'll tell you what, he's blocking has been outstanding as well.
Goal to go from the 3 on 2nd down. Bulls trail 17-9. The pitch. And Georgia Southern was coming on the run blitz.
Well, they had a dead play. They had a dead play right off the bat on the toss because you got an unblocked guy and the fullback cannot get to him. It was just a dead play. You'll see it right here. Here comes the blitz. Fullback can't quite get there. And that's just a good job. You know, that was close to being a late hit right there. He was down.
Once again, Daryl Morrow. Loss of 3 on the play. Barnhart. Touchdown, South Florida.
Wow.
Trevor hit the line on the catch, and the Bulls are taking it right to the number 8 team in the country.
Unbelievable. And that was on 3rd down. That was a key.
Now, do you go for 2?
Now, this is an interesting decision right here. Well, they're going to go for 2.
Steve Riggs has 3 field goals tonight, but Jim Leavitt wants to go for 2, go for the tie at home. 11:23 left to go. And the Bulls better be careful here. They may have to spend a timeout, and they will.
They just did. And I think part of the problem was, Chad, the ball right now is placed right in the middle of the field. Now, most times on 2-point plays, you'll want to put it on one hash or the other. Boy, this is huge right here, Al. Huge. This, if somehow South Florida was to win this game tonight, this would be one of the giant upsets in 1AA football all time. Chad buys a little time here with the scramble. Boom, Hippolyte comes open, great throw. He hit him right on the front number of the 8 of the 3. Terrific, terrific job by Barnhart and Hippolyte moving across the end zone, staying, ahead of the end line.
On the other side, boy, Paul Johnson has to be thinking, listen, I got the playoffs coming up. I can't afford this.
He told me last night he was really scared to death about this football game. And sometimes, the head coach, you have a feel. And he certainly had it last night. He was very, very concerned coming into this game.
Remember, he lost 2 defensive players to injuries at the start of the second half. So the Bulls take it 73 yards and 12 plays. That big 3rd down play from Barnhart to Bishop really got things rolling, and the Bulls have kept it going. And how about that pass from Barnhart to Hippolyte, throwing against his body? He throws a bullet for the touchdown.
He really does. And Chad Barnhart normally he's the guy that really throws better with his feet set, but he really showed some ability right there to move and make a great throw on the move.
All right, the Bulls are going for 2. They trail 17-15. 11:23 left to go in regulation.
They put the ball halfway between the hash and the center of the field.
Got 8 on the play clock. Hippolyte in motion. The pitch. This may be a pass. Back the opposite way. Barnhart for the throw. Conversion, and we're tied at 17.
They had that play for Chico Canales to call it, and what a time to call it. Wow!
The celebration here at the stadium. The Bulls have tied it up at 17. Perfect time to pull out his first two-point conversion attempt. And what a play to tie up this football game, Doug Graber.
Well, you know, the players have been after Mike Canales to call that thing. And you know, I'll tell you, a lot of times, if the players have confidence in a play, you know, hey, that's half the battle. And they certainly executed it perfectly here. Oh, what a huge play for the Bulls.
And what a great job by Clemens to sell this.
Absolutely. The timing was perfect. I mean, you know, nobody within 15 yards of him. And sometimes those are the hardest throws to make, as you well know. But absolutely perfect execution. This would be, without a question, the biggest upset in 1AA football this year. And one of the biggest upsets in college football, period.
The Bulls with their 10th football game ever. Now tied in the fourth quarter against the number 8 team in the country, a team that has won the Southern Conference, may be the premier conference in all of Division I AA football, and the Bulls are smelling an upset. 11:23 left to go in the contest. Now, remember, Georgia Southern is one of the most dangerous kickoff return teams in the country. The Bulls do not want to give it up here. Steve Riggs to kick off against Paul Johnson. And his special team. It's a short kick. Georgia Southern takes it at the 20. And the Bulls meet them at the 30.
That was a wild kick now by South Florida. We've seen Georgia Southern do it. Now we've seen South Florida do it. And I'll tell you what, that's a great time to call it, because if they get a big return against you, that really changes the momentum of everything.
Bernard Brown, the tackle. How about that South Florida defense against a team that's rated number 5 in the country with the run, and also a team that's one of the top scoring teams in the country. Russell going nowhere. Sean Hay, the tackle for the South Florida Bulls, along with Joey Camaro.
Crucial situation here in the fourth quarter. Now let's see which one of these teams can keep their poise and execute when the pressure's on.
Second down and 8 from the 32. We're tied. The option. Demetrius Woods grabbing the quarterback, Greg Hill.
Good discipline right there by Demetrius. He was assigned to the quarterback. He slow played him. He took him. Excellent technique. He kept his legs parallel so he could react either way. I think it's called slow playing the quarterback on the option.
We've had some crucial third down plays. Here's another one. 3rd and 3 from the 37. Russell. Joey Camaro pulls him down, but is it before he got to the 40-yard line and the first down? It is very close.
I think it's definitely short, in my opinion. I would not be surprised, again, with the style of offense they run, to see Georgia Southern go for this.
By the way, Anthony Henry is back in the lineup, and that's great news for the South Florida Bulls. He had a bruised knee, but the Bulls are happy to have him back. It looks like they may be inches shy.
Yeah, they didn't get a great spot here. I thought he was definitely about 1.5 feet shy.
They get the first down by very, very little.
Okay, that's all right.
9:55 left to go in the final period. 17-17. Hill gets away, and he has a lot of room in front of him. Falls down at the 31-yard really hurt the South Florida Bull defense tonight.
That was very, very well played by the South Florida defense. This play is all Hill and his tremendous athleticism. Look at him come off this. He actually spun him around back away from the pursuit. And you got a South Florida team that's running like crazy to the football, and he took advantage of it right there. What great athleticism by Hill.
At the 31, Hill, of course, from Sarasota Riverview. Russell busts it up inside, still moving. Inside the 10-yard line.
What balance by Russell. I mean, he was hit 3 times. He showed great balance, kept the football advancing, and these are their 2 best players on offense, 2 consecutive plays. Look at the spin move and the balance. Wow.
Boy, he looks like Jerome Bettis.
Oh, he's a 215-pound hammer now, I'll tell you. And when you get balance to go with that ability, that's something else.
Finally goes down at the 8-yard line. Big game. Georgia Southern coming right back to answer the touchdown by South Florida. Tied at 17. That time the Bulls are ready for Mr. Russell.
That was a full blitz against the option, of course, which is always dangerous. But, they're in a position now where they have to take some chances.
Derriman Edwards, Derek Basiglio among those tackling Russell.
These young kids on defense, they have absolutely played their heart out tonight. And now we got second down. Key situation.
Russell fights his way near the goal line. Roy Mans stops him.
He is an absolute hammer up there inside. He really is. And, arm tackles, they're just not going to get it with him now. Good surge up front. And he'll run through an arm tackle every time. He's a strong young man. And a senior, and that's what seniors are supposed to do for you, going against all these freshmen.
173 yards in the evening, and earlier on they were bottling up Russell, believe it or not. Russell fights his way over for the touchdown.
Well, you got to give Georgia Southern credit now. Hey, they're on the road. The score is tied in the 4th quarter. That's a terrific job by the offensive team, and that was set up by the athleticism again of Greg Hill. That was an unbelievable play he made when he was the play was defense perfectly. Great players do that for you.
Being perfect tonight. And he nails this one. And Georgia Southern comes right back. The Bulls battle back for a 17-17 tie, but Georgia Southern takes time off the clock to score a touchdown. And the Eagles now own a 7-point lead with 7:32 left to go in regulation. On a 2-yard run, and Georgia Southern now has a 7-point lead with 7:32 left to go in regulation. The broadcast rights to tonight's telecast have been granted to Sports Channel by the University of South Florida solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction, transmission, or other use of this program without the express written consent of Sports Channel is prohibited. Eric Ming getting ready to kick off. Back to receive for the South Florida Bulls, Charlie Jackson and Jermaine Clemens. A 70-yard drive and the touchdown run by Russell, but most of that set up by a long scramble on a broken play by Greg Hill from Sarasota Riverview.
Well, you can certainly see how Greg Hill was able to lead Riverview to a 13-1 record his senior year, and they were 5th in the nation.
Again, a short kick. At the 15. And he finds a save. Fights his way to the 40-yard line. So the Bulls again will have very good field position. Well, some pushing and shoving over there on the Georgia Southern bench.
Well, I personally thought that should have been called. I mean, he ran him right into the bench. That very easily could have been a personal foul on Georgia Southern. They got away with that one. Now, Can South Florida answer the bell? 7:21 to go. Down 7.
Now this is the kicker, Ming.
Well, it's a kicker, and he couldn't hurt anybody anyway, so you wouldn't worry about that. But I mean, they ran the kid right over the bench. I mean, that should have been called.
They'll mark it at the 37. Bishop in motion.
Both of the tailbacks for South Florida have really run tough tonight. I'm really impressed. They both have definitely improved as the season has progressed, and they're learning what college football is all about. They're both very good players down the road.
D.T. Tanner, the tackle for the for Georgia Southern. Second down and 4 from the 43. 6:49 and counting. Bulls trail by 7. Clemens again fights his way over the 45, and he's very close to a first down at the 47. Hal Carter, the tackle.
And that was a full run blitz by Georgia Southern, and then I'll tell you what, they're gambling, and if he hits a crack in that blitz, they're going to get a big play out of it.
Sets up that dreaded third down. The Bulls have had their troubles on third down with the exception of the last series. The fullback, Dixon. And he's very close to the first down. Dixon has made some key carries tonight to get the Bulls some first downs. And it's good for a first down. So the Bulls are moving the chains. 5:55 left to go in regulation. The Bulls trail 24-17.
Now, Al, that was another full run blitz by Georgia Southern. Now they're playing with fire. If they happen to hit a crack in it, they're going to get burned.
We have an official timeout on the field. Greg Loughran leaving the lineup for the South Florida Bulls.
That means that Ivan Elkin will have to jump back in. He's been playing right tackle. Now he'll have to go back to the center. And Isaac Crystal will jump in at right tackle.
5:40 and counting. First and 10 from the 47. The Bulls trail by 7. Swing pass. Clemens cannot hold on.
Well, that was the Hal Mumble sweep again, and they just didn't put, the ball was a good throw, and obviously every time that happens, the back has usually got his eyes downfield, and that's natural, but, you got to catch the football first. I mean, you put it from Pee Wee football right on. It's always true from the NFL to any level of football.
5:29 left to go in the contest. 24-17. Georgia Southern driving down for the go-ahead touchdown. Bob Russell on the 2-yard line. Second and long. Barnhart with time. Trying to hit Hippolyte. And that looked like a busted play from the beginning.
Well, exactly. It certainly was a busted play. Either the fullback went the wrong way or Chad opened up the wrong way. One of those two things occurred, and the whole play was discombobulated right from the get. So, you know what happens then? You just glad you didn't make the worst mistake and turn it over or something like that.
Can you call Mulligan there?
No. Boy, would we like to have some Mulligans in our life, I'll tell you.
At the 47. Third and 10. Third and long. The Bulls have had their problems on third down. Barnhart lays it out there. He's got Jackson. Jackson's got speed and some room. And he also has a first down.
Another key third down conversion, and just like the last one, that was set up by the scrambling ability of Chad Barnhart. He's showing me something tonight. He's made a couple of excellent decisions on the scrambles, and they were in a cover 2, and the corner got corner that had the flat was ran off, and then there's wide open in the flat. Excellent, excellent job. Chad Barnhart and Jackson keeping the play alive.
5:04 left to go in regulation. Bulls trail by 7. In motion, Bishop. Williams into the ball game.
This is a drive to try to tie the game now. Plenty of time. 4.5 minutes left. They can run it, they can throw it. They don't have to be in a hurry on this drive.
Nyberg the tackle.
I would say that every one of these situations now, they probably really 4-down situation now. As we get closer to 4 minutes, if they have to get into a 4th and 4th down, they'll obviously go for it.
Down to 4 on the play clock. The Bulls are going to have to hurry. They get it off just before it goes off. The blitz. Barnhart gets it away. He's got Bishop at the 20. Gets in inside the 5-yard line. Ball with the tackle, and the Bulls are smelling a tying touchdown.
What a football game this has been. And again, they caught him in the blitz. Great job by Barnhart avoiding the sack. Boom, came free. Wow. Full out blitz, unblocked. What a job. Excellent job of making a guy miss, and down the field we go. Boy, this has been some football.
First and goal from the 4. The Bulls have been down here before. Williams fighting towards the goal line, but he's pulled down. Dickerson has been in on key tackles all night long.
Spotted at about the 1.5, Al.
3:26. The Bulls. Do you want to take your time here? Do you want to go a little bit quicker? What do you do when you're facing that other offense?
You're in a real quandary here. I'll tell you what. Obviously, the priority is to get the ball in the end zone. Don't worry about how long it takes.
Williams is very close to the goal line. The Bulls want a touchdown. No signal yet.
Well, here comes the extra tight ends in the games. Now they're going to a power inside set. Nose of the football looks like about 3 inches from the goal line, maybe 6 inches. Man, I'll tell you what, this has been an unbelievable football game.
You know, we have been talking about third downs all night. The Bulls 4 of 11 on third down. This, the biggest in their history. Inside the wall. Barnhart on the quarterback sneak. Can he find his way in? The Bulls want a touchdown. No signal yet.
Well, you know, it looked like he might have crossed the plane on his initial surge and then got knocked back. Boy, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, inside 2 minutes, they're marking it inches from the goal line. Let's take a look
Got a
from
great angle
ground
here.
level.
I couldn't see from that angle. But, of course, that's the same angle the official had, so you have to agree with his call.
1:48 left to go in regulation. The South Florida Bulls inches away from a huge touchdown. They trail Georgia Southern 24-17. Check out Chad Barnhart. Dickerson making the initial hit.
Too close to call. Too close to call. Boy, that. Wow. Now here's your season right here.
The play of the season. Inches away from the touchdown, trailing 24-17. In motion, Hippolyte. Barnhart waits and scores a touchdown.
Whoa!
He set up the block, got in for the score. All right, Doug Graber. 1:45 left to go. Down by 1. Do you go for the tie or do you go for 2?
Well, if it was my call, I'd definitely kick the extra point. I mean, they have the momentum. Let's see, you know, hey, Georgia Southern could make a mistake on this possession too, but you got to, you know, get your guys a chance to win the football game.
And they are going for 2, Doug Graber. He might have had trouble with the snap.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He fumbled the snap a little bit, missed the exchange, and had enough poise to follow him into the end zone. That was a great job, but here we go.
Jim Leavitt has guts. Going for 2. Down by 1 to the number 8 team in the country with 1:45 left. Barnhart under pressure, cannot get away. Georgia Southern dodges a bullet. Eugene Phillips.
Boy. Oh.
Chad Nybert. Heartbreak Hotel for the South Florida Bulls.
Well, I'm sure that Jim felt like they had the momentum right here. I mean, you know, let's face it, they're, what, 27-point underdog. I'm sure he felt they had the momentum. Let's go for the win right now. Unfortunately, their protection broke down in a time when it absolutely was the most crucial play in the game. That's what can happen with all these freshmen. They have 3 freshmen playing on that offensive line. Obviously, a mistake made someplace. They brought a 5-man rush, and that's that young guy from Germany. You know what? And he was blocked, and he just made a heck of a football play for his team. Right there, that's Chad Nybert. What a play he made. That was a great athletic. He is a terrific football player. And that's a very athletic play that he made right there.
Well, Chad Barnhart did an amazing job just to get the ball into the end zone to set up an opportunity for the win. Had trouble on the snap. Hesitated just long enough to get a block and get it into the end zone, but it's Chad Nybert on the 2-point conversion making the sack. And the Bulls have no timeouts left. 1:45 left to go in regulation, and the Bulls trail by 1 at 24-23.
Well, we'll see the onside kick now. And of course, you know, the key of the onside kick is, 1, execute it and be on sides and don't get a penalty on yourself. Give yourself a chance.
And also
recover.
Get at the 10 yards.
Well, absolutely.
Georgia Southern, of course, has its all-hands team out there. Loose football, and the Bulls say they have it.
Unbelievable. Well, they have no timeouts. They got 1:42. They got to go to their 2 minutes.
There is a flag on the opposite side of the field. Could it be offsides on the South Florida Bulls? It is.
No. I missed it. I was looking for offsides. I didn't see it.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. Didn't have the 3 players on the side of the kicker. 5-yard penalty. Re-kick.
They changed that rule in college football 3 years ago because I knew that they didn't have anybody offsides. And what they're saying, you have to have 4 players on either side of the kicker, at least when they line up. And they didn't, apparently, and that's what the call is.
Jim Leavitt.
There's some real confusion on that call. I thought that they had a legal formation kicking-wise because all they have to do is line up that way before he kicks the ball. Then they can move and get into a position. But that's what the call is because I knew they weren't offsides.
Now, it's interesting that they're having this long a discussion on this play. Could they take the flag away? It'd be interesting to look at a replay. I don't know if we have a replay to see how they lined up.
Yeah, see,
we see 2.
We can't quite see it here. See, the question is, was he on the other side of the kicker, the player that was way in the back, and you couldn't tell from that angle.
They're bringing it back.
That's an interpretation by the official. Now that I don't know. Now let's make sure that we hear what he said and get lined up properly this time. What a battle this has been.
1:42 left to go in the contest. Bulls trail 24-23. They'll try the onside kick again.
See, now this time they have the 4 players definitely on the other side of the kicker, on the other side of the ball. Oh, that was a close call.
That one did not go the 10 yards. It went 9.5. Maybe 9 yards.
That'll be Georgia Southern's ball.
Well, the South Florida defense has forced some turnovers tonight.
Here's Jim looking at that last kick. Been there, done that. You know, as a kicker, you have to give yourself a chance. I mean, you got to give him a chance. His first kick was great. Second one went about 8 yards. Well, they're just going to kneel down now. And USF has no penalties. I mean, no timeouts, Al, so they can't stop the clock.
Georgia Southern, the number 8 team in the country, will escape.
Escape is the true word. And this game is going to have some ramifications for Georgia Southern. This game has the real potential to hurt them in terms of their rankings and how they go into the playoffs. But you've got to take your hats off to the Bulls and their coaching staff. What a great effort. Unbelievable, really. A bunch of freshmen going up against one of the top teams in the country like this. That's amazing. Amazing effort.
Flag down. Calling offside. Georgia Southern.
Yeah, they must have had some.
Dead ball. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still second out.
67 seconds left.
Can you imagine what this South Florida team is going to be able to do in 2 years in 1AA football?
Again, Hill not taking any chances.
I talked to athletic director Paul Griffin this week, and of course he's just thrilled with the progress of this team, and he reiterated to me that they are definitely on track and a realistic goal to be in Conference USA in 2001. That means you're playing Houston, Memphis, Louisville, Tulane, East Carolina, Army. You're playing a heck of a schedule, and I agree with him. There's no question that they can't be competitive by 2001 in 1A football.
Third down with 28 seconds. Hill again. Drops down to the knee. Well, that'll be it. The South Florida Bulls give the number 8 team in the country everything it could ever want, and it's a victory for Georgia Southern. But the Eagles lose a couple of defensive players to injury, and they may lose something in the rankings, and that may hurt when it comes time to pick home field advantage in the Division I AA playoffs. But believe me, the South Florida Bulls took it right to them, losing by 1 at 24-23. There's Paul Johnson, and he's happy to be able to leave this turf at Houlihan Stadium with the victory. Jim Leavitt decided to go for 2 instead of going for the tying point after, and a chance to go to overtime. But the Bulls lead, losing 24-23, and they will go to 4-6 on the season. We'll have more from Houlihan Stadium right after this. Upsets in Division I AA history when you talk about a first-year program taking Georgia Southern, a team rated number 8 in the country, a team that won the Southern Conference Championship, and a team that has won 4 national championships. The Bulls take it down to a big decision. Do you go for 1? Do you go for 2? After scoring the touchdown, Jim Leavitt, with 1:45 left to go, decides to go for 2, and Doug Graber, they end up losing by a point.
Well, you know, as the head coach, I mean, obviously those are the decisions you get paid to make. And I'll tell you what, Jim Leavitt all year long has shown a lot of guts. And that takes a lot of guts to make that call right there. And, you know, there's not really a loser in this football game tonight. I mean, I know it's hard to walk in that locker room right now talking about South Florida and say you didn't, but they really did. I mean, they really set the tone for this program as far as I'm concerned with this effort that they gave on this field tonight. And, you know, I'm really proud of what they did.
Here's a look at the final touchdown for the South Florida Bulls against a very good Georgia Southern defense. Chad Barnhart had the composure to come back from having trouble with the snap, waited to set up a block, gets it into the end zone. That made it 24-23. The Bulls decide to go for 2 instead of the tying point after, and it ends right there. Jim Leavitt just drops his head. Tough loss for the South Florida Bulls, 24-23, and they fall to 4-6 on the season. Thanks for joining us here at the stadium.